Hello everyone, my name is Abby and I'm the Young Adult Assistant at the Twin Lakes Library System and I use she, her pronouns. So today, like I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to be doing books about K-pop. So I'm just going to get right into it. So for the first book we have, I actually have a non-fiction selection, and that is the Big Book of BTS. This is a new addition to our collection, and it basically just gives you like an overview of their history and like performances they've done, and all of the members that are in BTS and everything that, you know, their age, what their role in the group is, just some background facts about them, and it also gives some sort of facts about sort of the development of K-pop and different groups in K-pop. It sort of touches on those and how it sort of rose to prominence, especially in America. So it's just a good little nonfiction book if you're into BTS and you want to learn a little bit more about them, and then also just a little bit about the K-pop industry in general. So that was just a little plug for a new nonfiction book. But the next book I'm going to be talking to you about is K-pop Confidential by Stephan Lee. And this is a book that we have at the physical copy, or a physical copy of the book at the library. I would say this book is good for ages probably 14. I would say all of these books are probably good for ages 14 and up, or 13 and up. They're all pretty tame in terms of content. So this book is about Candace Park, and Candace Park has kind of done everything she's been expected to do her whole life. She plays viola, even though she doesn't really like it because her parents want her to. She's a really good student. She does everything she's supposed to do, but she really, really wants to become a singer. She really loves to sing, but her parents won't really let her do this. But then one day she finds out that there's actually going to be an audition for a company of the biggest boy group in the world right now, called SLK, to make the next biggest girl group. They're supposed to basically be the female version of SLK. And so she goes and auditions. She doesn't really think that she's going to get in, but unexpectedly she gets into the trainee program, and she sort of has to follow all the rules and restrictions of it, and she sort of starts to learn a little bit more about the industry and certain restrictions in the industry. And then one specific rule that she starts to sort of have a problem with is the no dating rule, because she sort of starts to fall for a boy trainee at the program. And so Candace sort of has to deal with everything that's going on while also learning to be a K-pop idol, and she sort of has to decide, is this all worth it in the end? So why I liked this book. I thought it was really fun. I think that it has a sort of great introduction for people who are new to K-pop and they are wanting to learn a little bit more. It's a great book for that. There's even sort of in the back, let me show you. I can find it. Yes, they have like a dictionary in the back of the book that has a bunch of K-pop terminologies and pages that you can find it on and how that all works. So that's really cool, and I think it gives you a little bit more background about everything. I think Candace is an extremely lovable main character. You really want to root for her the whole time because she really cares and she's very passionate about everything, and so it's a lot of fun to follow her. The presentation of Candace's family, I think, is really good. The next book I'm going to be talking about, the presentation of the family dynamic is a little less positive, whereas this one, even if they don't really understand Candace's dreams or they seem kind of hesitant to let her follow them, they still support her in ways that they can and try to make sure that she feels really loved and like she can do the things that she wants to. And they never tell her she has to like suck it up or do everything. They're very like, if you don't want to do this, just let us know and we'll figure it out. So they're really good family dynamic. And to go along with that, I feel like the book is really heartfelt and you know, everyone's really kind and you want them to succeed the more you learn about them. I felt like it was realistic. The author never really goes too far out of the realm of reality. There are some moments, but for the most part, I feel like it's dealt with really well. And never tries to sugarcoat the experience that she's going through, and, you know, provides a lot more depth than you would think in just like a contemporary YA novel. Okay, so the next book I'm going to be talking is I'll Be the One by Lyla Lee, I think is how you say her name. And so this book is about Sky Shin, and Sky Shin is, she is plus sized, and, you know, through her whole life, she has sort of had to deal with people making comments about it and saying, you know, fat girls can't dance, and she shouldn't want to stand out, and she shouldn't want this. Basically, a lot of this comes from her mother, not wanting Sky to draw attention to herself. But Sky is very confident in herself and her dreams, especially her dream of being a K-pop star. And so to do this, she actually auditions on a show called You're My Shining Star, which is a K-pop competition star, and she does really well in both the dance and the singing categories, and she sort of thrives. But in the process of doing this, she sort of starts to learn more about fat-phobic beauty standards and more about the pop industry in Korea that's kind of stressful to her, and, you know, media scrutiny and everyone's attention being on her, while also she starts to develop feelings for another competitor, Henry Cho. And so she's sort of having to deal with all of this and making sure she is being successful and doing what she wants to do. So why I loved this. There is so much body positivity in this book. Sky really is confident in herself. She doesn't really let anyone get her down. Anytime someone makes a comment about it, she sort of challenges them to reassess their viewpoint and say, well, why does this matter? And she's very proud of herself and everything that she's capable of, which is great. There's also really good LGBT rep in this book. Sky is, spoiler, bisexual, but also they're a really good side LGBT couple, and it's just dealt with really positively, and they actually talk about it. It's not sort of just one fleeting moment mentioned and then it's never talked about again. The author really does a good job at making sure that the audience is aware of how important Sky's bisexuality is to her, so I really liked that. And then Sky herself, I think, is a really great main character. She has a lot of self-confidence. She's very proud of herself. She knows she's good at what she does, and she doesn't really let anyone stand in her way of sort of trying to change her dreams and her goals. Henry Cho also is a really good character. He's a great love interest, and he's really well developed throughout the story, and I like the dynamic he develops with Sky, so I really enjoyed that. And then the last thing is that there are also some mentions of real-world K-pop groups and artists that gives you a little bit more background into the whole music industry there. BTS gets mentioned a lot, EXO, Twice, even some singers that are more underrated, I think, by like American pop culture standards, like Highs and Epic High, which is like a hip-hop, rap, K-pop artist group. So it's really cool to see that, and just that the author did a lot of research or just has a lot of background knowledge into K-pop and made sure to include those lesser-known artists, which is kind of cool. And then the last book that I wanted to talk about is Somewhere Only We Know by Maurene Goo. And so this follows Lucky, who is the biggest K-pop star in the world, and she just has performed her hit theme song Heartbeat in Hong Kong, and she's about to debut on The Tonight Show in America, which is supposed to hopefully propel her career in America. But we are following her on one night where she is kind of stressed and she wants to get a hamburger, so she leaves her hotel room not really knowing where she's going, and in the process she runs into this guy named Jack, who is trying to sneak into the fancy hotel for his tabloid job, and he runs into her, Lucky, and he kind of starts to recognize her, and he decides to hang out with her and show her around Hong Kong, and they sort of develop a relationship over this one night, and yeah. So why I liked this is basically a K-drama in a book form. If you've ever watched a K-drama, you know there is lots of drama. It's kind of wild. The romance is really intense. So that's really cool. So I really liked seeing that as someone who really likes watching K-dramas. I really liked seeing that. And so that was cool to see in a book format. I thought the setting was very cool. Hong Kong was really described well, and it felt really realistic, and it was well written, and I felt like I could really picture the scenes that were being included in it, so that was really cool. I really liked Lucky as a main character. I thought she had a lot of depth, and there was a lot of talk of her career, but also things that are stressing her out, and the things that make her unhappy, the things that do make her happy. So that was really interesting to see. I liked that Maurene Goo did a really good job at articulating her and making her a very three-dimensional character. I thought that the book was really fast-paced, which was nice. The chapters are pretty short, so you can read it pretty quickly, but you're still getting really good story, and there's nothing ever lacking. And I think the last thing is that it deals with important themes, but still maintains a pretty light comedic tone. So there's talks of anxiety and stuff, but Maurene Goo does a good job. It's still making it a pretty light contemporary novel. So yeah, so those are all the books that I had to talk to you about today, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.